Imagine an era when kings still ruled by divine right. Churches policed ideas, and most people were told their place was fixed forever. Europe in the early 1700s was still the world of the old regime: hereditary monarchies, powerful churches, rigid estates, and castes. In France, society was formally divided into clergy, nobility, and everyone else. In much of Europe, criticizing the wrong doctrine could still mean exile, prison, or worse. Then imagine a chorus of voices insisting that reason, not rank, should govern human affairs. That beliefs, from astronomy to theology, from criminal law to the economy, should be tested, argued, and revised, not simply inherited. That ordinary people, not just kings and bishops, might have rights.
That chorus was Enlightenment, the long 18th century of arguments, experiments, salons, coffee houses, and revolutions that helped recast a modern world.
Its roots reached back to the scientific revolution, Galileo's telescopes, Newton's laws, showing that nature had rules discoverable by the human mind. Galileo's observations of the moon's craters and Jupiter's moons in the early 1600s undermined the old, perfectly ordered heavens. Isaac Newton's Principia Mathematica, 1687, described gravitation and motion with mathematical precision, suggesting that the universe operates according to consistent, discoverable laws. Royal academies, like the Royal Society in London, founded 1660, and the Paris Académie des Sciences, institutionalized this new science. If the cosmos followed laws rather than caprices, perhaps societies did too. The Enlightenment extended the methods and confidence of natural philosophy into politics, economics, religion, and morality. In politics, John Locke's two treatises of government, published 1689, argued that legitimate power comes from the consent of the governed, and that people possess natural rights, life, liberty, and property, that no monarch can rightfully take. Locke wrote in the wake of England's own constitutional struggles, the civil wars, the execution of Charles I, and the Glorious Revolution of 1688 that limited royal authority. His ideas supplied a language in which kings could be judged by principles, not simply obeyed by tradition. In epistemology, Locke's essay concerning human understanding, 1690, pitched the mind as a tabula rasa, a blank slate written upon by experience. Knowledge, he argued, is not innate but built from sensations and reflections. That way of thinking undercut appeals to eternal hierarchies supposedly inscribed in human nature. If minds are formed by experience and education, they can be reformed. Locke was not alone. Across Europe, thinkers like Baruch Spinoza and Pierre Bell questioned religious dogma and argued for toleration. Many came to see superstition and enforced orthodoxy as enemies of both truth and public peace. Across the Channel, Paris became a capital of conversation. In salons hosted by figures like Madame Geoffrin and Madame Necker, philosophers debated religion, law, and society. These gatherings, often organized by elite women, brought together nobles, writers, scientists, and officials. They were carefully choreographed spaces where controversial ideas could be floated, inside a world still tightly controlled by royal censors and church authorities. The philosophers were not a formal school, but a loose network of writers and savants from Paris to Geneva to Berlin. They corresponded across borders in what came to be called the Republic of Letters, a transnational community bound by mail coaches and printing presses more than by passports. Voltaire, with a pen like a rapier, mocked intolerance and arbitrary power. After a spell in the Bastille and exile in England in the 1720s, he admired Britain's relatively free press and mixed constitution. His letters concerning the English nation, 1733-34, praised English religious toleration and scientific culture, and got the book publicly burned in France. His satirical tale Candide, 1759, skewered complacent optimism amid very real suffering: the Lisbon earthquake, war, religious violence. asking how any philosophy could excuse such horrors as part of the best of all possible worlds. Denis Diderot and Jean-Laurent d'Alembert marshaled hundreds of contributors to the Encyclopédie, 1751 to 1772, aiming to gather and disseminate all useful knowledge, from shipbuilding to surgery, to anyone who could read. It was more than a reference work. Its articles smuggled in critiques of privilege, superstition, and arbitrary rule. The project was repeatedly banned and censored. Diderot was briefly imprisoned in 1749. Still, volumes kept appearing, often through complex arrangements and foreign printing houses. By making technical craft, scientific theory, and critical essays accessible, the encyclopedia embodied Enlightenment faith that circulating knowledge could change society. The architecture of liberty took shape in books. Montesquieu's The Spirit of the Laws, 1748, analyzed how governments work and proposed separating powers, legislative, executive, judicial, to prevent tyranny. Drawing on examples from ancient Rome to contemporary Britain, he argued that political liberty depended less on abstract perfection than on careful balancing of forces and institutions. His earlier Persian letters, 1721, a fictional travelogue by Persian visitors in Europe, used the outsider's eye to expose European absurdities, especially French absolutism and religious hypocrisy. Montesquieu's separation of powers doctrine would later shape the framers of the U.S. Constitution and become a cornerstone of modern constitutional design. Jean-Jacques Rousseau's The Social Contract, 1762, proclaimed that man is born free and everywhere he is in chains, arguing that a just political order rests on the general will of the citizens. For Rousseau, sovereignty could not legitimately be alienated or divided. It lay in the collective deliberation of the people. Earlier, in his discourse on the origin and foundations of inequality, 1755, he had traced how property, social comparison, and dependence corrupted what he saw as a simpler, more equal state of nature. Rousseau also critiqued the civilizing mission of the arts and sciences, arguing in his first discourse, 1750, that refinement often brought vanity, inequality, and moral decay. In Emile, 1762, he outlined a radical approach to education that would let a child's natural capacities flourish. His suspicion of luxury and his celebration of civic virtue distinguished him from many more cosmopolitan philosophers, and would resonate strongly in the more radical phases of the French Revolution. In Scotland, a different yet related Enlightenment flourished. Edinburgh and Glasgow became intellectual centers, the Athens of the North, linking moral philosophy, history, economics, and law. David Hume probed the limits of certainty and the habits of human nature. His Treatise of Human Nature, 1739-40, and later his Inquiries, 1748-1751, argued that our beliefs about causation, the self, and even the external world rest on custom and habit rather than demonstrative proof. He famously cast doubt on miracles, suggesting that it is more rational to question testimony than to suspend the known regularities of nature. In morality, Hume saw reason as the slave of the passions and grounded ethics in sentiment, our capacities for sympathy and approval, rather than in commands from above. Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations, 1776, explored markets, specialization, and the invisible hand shaping economic life, arguing that when properly structured, commercial societies could increase overall prosperity. But Smith was not a narrow economist. In his earlier theory of moral sentiments, 1759, he examined how humans judge right and wrong through sympathy, our imaginative capacity to share others' perspectives. For Scottish thinkers like Smith, a commercial society needed moral norms and institutions, not just self-interest, to function well. Together, these Scottish writers suggested that human behavior, morality, and markets could be studied as regular, patterned phenomena, subjects for empirical inquiry rather than mere sermon or decree. In Milan, Cesare Beccaриa's On Crimes and Punishments, 1764, condemned torture and cruel penalties, calling for proportional, public, and swift justice. Beccaria argued that the purpose of punishment was not vengeance but deterrence. Secret trials and judicial torture were both ineffective and unjust. Executions, he suggested, were rarely necessary and often brutalizing. His book sparked debates across Europe and influenced reforms. Torture was formally abolished in several jurisdictions in the late 18th century. In Tuscany, the Grand Duke Leopold, later Emperor Leopold II, abolished the death penalty for common crimes in 1786, one of the earliest such experiments. Beccaria's work exemplified a broader Enlightenment drive to subject legal institutions to rational scrutiny, statistical reasoning, and considerations of human welfare. Not all Enlightenment thought was hostile to religion, but it was generally hostile to coercion and fanaticism. Many thinkers became deists, believing in a creator who established natural laws, but rejecting miracles and dogmas unsupported by reason. Others, like Hume, were deeply skeptical of religious claims. To be continued.